Alright, welcome to another episode of Dirtcheapdaily. Today I'm going to start the project that I've been waiting to do all summer. Got my turbo, I got some header pipes and some random pipes, and we're going to make my custom up pipe. A few weeks back I went and I got a straight pipe and a bent pipe. It's a slightly larger diameter than the stock up pipe, but it's also a thicker wall. Because it is a larger diameter pipe, I'm kind of worried that my turbo will spool slightly slower, especially since I'm not trying to make big power or anything. I don't really need a bigger up pipe, but mostly I'm using a larger diameter because I had the pipe available to me for cheap. I dug this stuff out of the scrap pile, and so this one was already bent, and I figured, yeah, I want a bent piece. And then this one was just a good length that I figured it would work. I can go back, they have some more scrap, no other bent scrap, but they have some other pieces that I can use if I need it. Over the summer I picked up some headers and a couple of up pipes. I was thinking I was going to mount the turbo in the stock location. I don't think I'm going to use those up pipes anymore, but I am going to use the one that's a little worse off to just cut off the flanges and weld those flanges to my custom up pipe that I finished making up. You might also be wondering why the heck I have a couple cut off headers. I'm using these to space out my header. One of the issues you will come across when you're going to turbo your non-turbo Subaru is the water pump. Now the water pump on a WRX or an STI has an outlet going in a different direction than the NA water pump, and the NA water pump gets in the way of the stock headers, the cast iron headers. So swapping your water pump for a WRX water pump would probably be a good decision, but I just put a new water pump on this in February, I think, and I don't really want to get back in there and deal with the timing belt and everything if I don't have to. And so one way to get around that is to just space your headers down a bit. So what I'm going to do is just cut these flanges off and weld them to this header. Now you could also, if you didn't want to weld them, you could cut these off and do a dual gasket. So put a gasket between this and the block, and then between this and the header. But I have a welder available, and that makes it so I don't have to spend extra on double sets of gaskets. I don't really have that much time to work on it today. It looks like it's starting to rain, maybe. So I think what I'm going to do is start out by cutting off the flanges and cutting off the flanges on the up pipe. So here you can see the difference between so I was pretty sure the guy that sold me this said this was off of an 03 WRX, not an STI, but it is catless. So I don't know. I don't really know. Haven't looked into it. I was under the impression that WRXs all had cats, and the STIs just had no cats. That was the difference between an STI and a WRX pipe. This one obviously has a cat, because you can see it right there, and this bulge right here. It's even got an arrow that flow goes that way. Anyway, the other thing that you should notice, both of these have a flex pipe. It's not really a braided flex pipe like we're used to seeing, but it is a flex pipe nonetheless. I was looking online on a bunch of forums, and there's a lot of controversy between a few aftermarket brands that have flex pipes, and some people asking about custom up pipes with a flex pipe. So maybe that'll help out. The stock one has a flex pipe, so maybe it's good to have a flex pipe. So what I might end up doing is cutting above the flex pipe and still using that stock flex pipe a little bit, and then welding on my stuff to the end of this. So cut here and here, recycle the cat. Heck, they'll pay me for a piece of junk that I was gonna throw away? Heck yes. Another thing to think about when doing this, I would recommend not using an up pipe with a catalytic converter. There have been some people who say that over time and severe heat and, I don't know, putting out a lot of power, it can destroy the catalytic converter, and then you can get chunks of catalytic converter coming up into your turbo turbine, which obviously is not good. So I wouldn't put one in, especially when you have options like this that are stock that don't have one. Seems like that would be a legit way to go, right? The other thing that I noticed, maybe it's really not that big of a difference. The catted up pipe has a smaller diameter tube. I don't know if you can really tell. It's the same flange, but it kind of looks like this one. It kind of looks like the catted up pipe has a smaller diameter tube. Now that might be beneficial for what I'm doing. Smaller diameter pipe will spool up your turbo more quickly, but it can also be an exhaust restriction. So depending on what kind of power you're making and things, that's something to take into account. I'm not going for huge power numbers because I have a stock short block, an NA stock short block, so not looking for any serious power to blow that up. Just enough to make it more fun.